Let's connect with Chanda Kochhar, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of ICICI Bank. Chanda, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Chanda, Reserve Bank of India has surprised the markets by cutting CRR rates by 25 bips and injecting about 17,000 crore in the system. What are your views on the same, and how do you think this will help ICICI Bank's balance sheet?
Well, I think I'll really compliment the RBI here for actually being quite proactive on the CRR. I think they are envisaging the busy season and actually taking a step a little bit ahead of time, which I think is a very proactive and a positive step. So I would say that it was a positive and a very pleasant move.
So Chanda, after the CRR cut, does it give you scope of a base rate cut, and will you be looking at cutting your base rate or look at cutting rates in specific segments?
Of course, an individual step of a small cut in CRR does not really impact the cost of funds in a big way for the banks. But if you have seen over the last few months, the deposit rates have come down as well. In fact, we at ICICI were one of the first banks to reduce even our base rates when the rate cut really started. But I think what I'm gradually sensing is that with the reduction in deposit rates and the easing of liquidity, the interest rates will tend to gradually come down during the year.
Chanda, most of the PSU banks have cut rates when it comes to home loan and auto loans. When do you think private banks are likely to come their home loan rates and auto loan rates?
Well, we are watching the market developments. We are a large player both in the housing loan and the car loan market. Our rates are always competitive, and we'll continue to keep them competitive.
Chanda, what about your credit growth? How has that panned out, and are you expecting demand to pick up, keeping in mind the festive season?
No, I think at the beginning of the year we had said that we expect our domestic business to grow by between 18 and 20%. I still think we can grow our domestic business at this rate. I think our growth will mainly come from the housing loans, car loans, working capital finance to the corporate sector and so on. So we are still confident about that kind of a rate growth for the domestic business. The international side of the business may probably remain flat during the year.
Chanda, share with us, if you can, what is your outlook on margins, and are you witnessing or experiencing any pressures on your margins?
We have seen actually an expansion in margins because till last year our margins used to be in the 2% plus kind of range, but it was just in the last quarter of the last fiscal year that we reached 3% of net interest margin, and we have maintained that 3% even in the first quarter. So I think for us, I believe that for this whole year we should be able to at least maintain 3% margin, which will actually be an increase over the last year.
Chanda, the government has come up with a significant reform push. Give us your view on that, and do you hope that banking reforms would follow next?
Well, I think I'm very happy with the kind of announcements that have been made in the last few days. I think more than just the direct impact of the announcements, I think it's a clear indication of an intent by the government to say that they are willing to take decisions, and they are willing to take decisions that will actually drive the economy towards the right path. So I think that's a very positive step. Of course, I definitely believe that for us to get back to the real growth path, we need not just big bang reforms, but we need a lot of executive decision making on a day-to-day basis, which needs to improve the investment climate. But we have to implement the announcements that were made in the last few days, and we have to make many more announcements and take many more decisions in order to improve the investment climate.
Chanda, give us a sense of your asset quality, and do you think some of the reform measures which have been announced by government, they will help your asset quality?
The asset quality situation, of course, first of all, I think as far as the banks are concerned, I must say that the current worries are probably a little more exaggerated than what the actual situation is. I think the retail portfolio continues to remain very, very stable. And on the corporate side, I think what needs to be monitored is the specific issues around specific projects and specific companies. While all of us are monitoring that, but it's really the executive decisions around making sure that, coal is available or gas is available, or, some of the clarity emerges around policy. That will really improve the cash flow generation for the projects that are either already completed or getting completed.
Chanda, one last question. You are one of the biggest lenders to Deccan Chronicle Group. Given that BCCI has now cancelled the license of the IPL team, what is the way forward?
Well, I really do not discuss specific cases, but I must only say that the lenders would do everything that is possible in order to safeguard their interests and the value of their security, and move on that basis for every case actually.